Hello, it's Clayton. I just finished watching The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf, starring Theo James, Laura Pulver, Grant McTavish, and animated by Studio Mir. Now, when it comes to the Witcher franchise, when it comes to the books, the video games, and even the Netflix series, it certainly has made an impact when it comes to dark fantasy, with its three-dimensional characters, tons of monster slaying, and its charismatic leads. And instead of focusing on Geralt for this film, we're instead focusing on his mentor Vesemir, played by Hector from Castlevania himself, Theo James. It ultimately results in an animated film that honestly did more for me in 80 minutes than the entire Netflix series first season did for me. Let's get to the story, shall we? The story, like I said, follows Vesemir, voiced by Theo James, as it details his trials that led him to become a Witcher, as well as him taking on a brand new mission as he discovers not only some dark elements from his past, but the dark extremes that the Witchers go through in order to get their coin and in order to get a decent living in this dark fantasy world. We also learn a bit about his mentor, played by Graham McTavish, and more about the humans in Vesemir's time, who, let's just say, they're as prejudiced towards Witchers as they are in Geralt's time. But that's all I'll say about the story without spoiling anything. One thing that I absolutely love about this film is the animation by Studio Mir. Uh, Say what you will about their other shows, such as Legend of Korra and Dota Dragon's Blood, but they have some amazing skill when it comes to animating fight scenes, and here it's no exception. The magic, the monster designs, the fluidity of the action, you can tell it's a labor of love by those who are involved in this film. Especially considering that the sound effects and the particle effects in CG work really well. There's occasional times where a monster can look a little wonky in their CGI, but aside from that, it looks like some of the best animation I've seen all year. Right up there with Netflix's Castlevania series, which just ended back in May. Not only that, but I really liked that we got to learn more about Vesemir as a character, especially considering he gets to be seen as a charismatic and cocky young man, as opposed to his role as a as an old mentor in the games. I love his old mentor character in the games, but it's nice getting to learn about who he was before he became that person and what led him to become that person. And the other characters work out pretty well, especially Vesemir's mentor, and even a few of the mages that he fights against, especially since we learn about the corrupt human kingdoms that these mages serve. And even though the film is only 80 minutes long, not including the credits, it moves at a pretty fast pace, so you might even miss a few details if you blink throughout the film, because a lot of the action and story moves really, really fast. But because it's so short and because it's telling its story in that click, every scene counts. They work quickly to get you to understand these characters, get you to like these characters, mix in a ton of action, and give a ton of backstory. And they manage to do so in a rather efficient way. And it doesn't feel like any scene is just there to be there. So I like the fact that it's not filled with a bunch of filler and that it feels like you need to pay attention throughout the whole thing. Now, granted, like I said, the film isn't perfect. There are some awkward CG here and there, and you really can't get into the film if you don't already know about the Witcher series in some form. But if you do, and if you are interested, then I do believe it's a worthwhile time, and it actually does work as a very good R-rated animated film, and honestly, we need more of those. So that's why I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. See you next time.